The world had changed many times across the ages. Civilizations rose, learned, and then faded into memory, leaving behind ruins, books, and mysteries. Yet among the deepest secrets of humanity was something so old and so carefully hidden that no one alive remembered it. It was not in the history taught in schools, nor in the songs passed down from ancestors. It rested silently beneath the soil, waiting for the right moment when its story would be discovered again. For centuries, people believed humanity had always been a simple race of dreamers, explorers, and builders. They thought the highest achievements of the past were art, science, and cities reaching toward the skies. But beneath all of this beauty lay another truth. Long ago, humanity had faced something in the darkness of the heavens, something that frightened them so deeply that they created powerful machines to defend themselves. These machines were not small, nor fragile. They were immense giants of steel and light, designed to stand against forces that no one could now imagine. When the old danger passed, humanity sealed these creations away. They were hidden in chambers deep underground, behind walls that seemed unbreakable. To make sure the memory of them would not bring fear or misuse, records were erased, stories were buried, and generations grew up without knowing what rested below their feet. In time, people forgot. The world grew calmer, more peaceful. No one asked questions about ancient vaults, because no one knew they existed. Humanity turned its eyes toward the stars not as warriors but as learners, eager to meet new neighbors and new worlds. Yet not every secret can stay hidden forever. Far in the mountains of a quiet land, a group of explorers studied unusual stone ridges. They thought they were searching for fossils or rare crystals. But one of them, a young man named Ryan, noticed that the rocks hummed softly when touched. At first he thought it was only the wind moving through cracks, but the sound was too steady, too mechanical. "Listen," Ryan said, pressing his ear against the cold surface. His friends gathered and heard it too. A low vibration, steady like a heartbeat. None of them had ever heard stone sing like this. They reported their find to local scholars, who sent a small team to investigate. Digging carefully, the team uncovered a smooth wall of metal beneath the mountain layers. It was not the rusted iron of human industry, but something bright and unedged, as if it had been placed there yesterday. News spread quickly. Scientists arrived, bringing scanners and tools. The wall stretched far beyond their measurements. Its shape was not random but deliberate, forming a massive sealed door. Strange patterns glowed faintly across its surface, symbols no one could read. The discovery stirred both excitement and unease. Where had this door come from? Who had built it? And why was it buried so deeply beneath the mountain? While many humans celebrated the possibility of finding lost technology, not everyone was pleased. One evening, as the scientists continued their study, 3 tall visitors appeared in orbit above Earth. Their ships were smooth, silver, and silent, belonging to a neighboring alien race that had long observed humanity. These envoys spoke with calm voices but carried a warning. "You must leave the mountain sealed," they said to Earth's leaders. "What sleeps beneath is not meant to rise again." The words puzzled humanity. The aliens offered no explanation, only caution. Yet the warning had the opposite effect of what they hoped. Curiosity grew stronger. People asked why strangers from the stars would care about something buried on Earth. What did they know that humans did not? Among the scientists was a woman named Myra. She studied ancient languages and forgotten codes. When she saw the glowing symbols on the metallic door, she felt certain they were not random designs. Slowly, she began to translate. The symbols spoke of guardians, of watchers built in an age when the heavens were dangerous. They hinted at power too great to describe and a promise that the machines would wake only when called by human voices. The thought of guardians hidden below the earth sent shivers through the team. Could it be possible that their ancestors had once built machines beyond their current knowledge? Myra kept her research quiet at first, sharing only with Ryan and a few trusted friends. Together they spent nights decoding fragments of messages, uncovering lines that spoke of chains of silence and at dawn when the sleepers rise. Outside the mountain, crowds gathered to see the sight. Some prayed, believing it was a divine relic. Others protested, fearing it might be dangerous. Governments struggled to calm the people, promising that everything was under control. But no one could stop the growing sense that something world-changing was near. In the quiet of the research tent, Myra whispered to Ryan, "This is not just a door. It is a beginning. Our ancestors left us a gift or perhaps a warning. Either way, the time of forgetting is over." Ryan looked at the mountain, feeling the steady hum under his feet. It was as if the earth itself was alive, waiting for someone to listen. He could not explain why, but he felt sure that the moment humanity touched what was inside, the world would never be the same again. And far beyond Earth, in the vast councils of alien civilizations, eyes turned toward the little blue planet. Old memories stirred in those who still remembered what humanity had once built. Some whispered with fear, others with awe. They all asked the same question. What would happen if humanity unchained its machines once more? The discovery in the mountains changed the rhythm of life across the world. Scientists, leaders, and ordinary people spoke of nothing else. Some called it the greatest finding in human history, while others warned it could bring danger. Yet curiosity grew stronger each passing day, and the sealed door of metal became the center of every discussion. Myra continued her quiet study of the glowing symbols. Every night she worked with Ryan and a few others in a small tent beside the excavation. At times the patterns shifted, as if responding to her touch. The lines of light rearranged like living script, revealing more words in a language long forgotten. Slowly, pieces of meaning formed in her mind. "These are not warnings to stay away," she explained to Ryan. "They are instructions. Whoever built this wanted their descendants to know how to open it." Ryan leaned closer. "So it was meant for us?" "Yes," she said softly. "It speaks of a voice, a command that can break the seal. But only a human voice." Her discovery filled them with wonder, but also with questions. Why would their ancestors lock something so carefully? What kind of guardians would need to be hidden so deep? While Myra's team pushed forward, Earth's leaders faced pressure. The alien envoys returned once more, their silver ships hovering in calm silence above the atmosphere. They asked again for the humans to stop. "You do not understand what you are touching," the envoy said firmly. "This is not a treasure. It is a shadow from an old time." But the humans were not convinced. If the aliens truly wished to help, why did they refuse to explain? Why speak of danger without giving reason? Their silence only deepened suspicion. In secret halls, leaders debated. Some argued to seal the site forever. Others insisted that knowledge should never be buried. "If our ancestors built it," one voice said, "then we must know why. We cannot live in ignorance." Meanwhile, around the excavation, strange events began. People reported faint vibrations beneath the ground at night. Lights flickered across the metal surface, brighter than before. The hum that once sounded like a soft whisper now echoed with a deeper rhythm, like drums far away. It was as if the mountain itself had begun to breathe. Crowds outside the site grew restless. Some shouted to open the door. Others warned to leave it alone. Myra avoided the noise, focusing only on her work. She had learned enough of the code to see that the door responded not only to touch but also to sound. The ancient builders had left a melody, a sequence of tones hidden among the symbols. "Music," she whispered. "It is waiting for a song." Ryan tested her idea by humming softly near the door. To their surprise, a ripple of light moved across the surface. It was faint, but clear. The door had heard him. They looked at each other, hearts racing. The machines inside were not lifeless. They were listening. The news of this reaction spread quickly among the research team. Some celebrated the proof that the chamber could indeed be opened. Others grew nervous, fearing they were stepping into something too great for them to control. Myra urged caution. "We should move slowly," she said. "We do not know what lies beyond. A song can open the door, but a song can also awaken something we are not ready to face." But not everyone shared her patience. A group of young researchers, filled with excitement, began working secretly at night. They studied Myra's notes and tried to complete the melody themselves. They believed that if they could be the first to open the chamber, they would change history forever. One evening, Ryan discovered their plan. He found them near the door, whispering as they set up small instruments. The glow on the surface grew brighter with every tone they tested. "This is reckless," he warned. "We should wait until we understand more." But they shook their heads. "History never waits. If we delay, others will stop us. The world deserves to know what sleeps here." Before Ryan could stop them, they began to play the full melody. The notes echoed against the mountain walls, clear and strong. The door responded instantly. Lines of light shot across its surface, forming a web of glowing patterns. The hum deepened into a steady roar. The ground trembled beneath their feet. Dust fell from the ceiling of the cavern. Outside, the crowds gasped as the mountain shook with life. The sealed door split into sections, shifting like massive gears turning after centuries of silence. A crack of light appeared between them, shining brighter than the sun. Myra rushed forward just as the melody ended. The door stopped moving, frozen halfway open. The light flickered, waiting for a final command. The researchers stared in awe, half frightened and half proud. "We did it," one of them whispered. Myra's eyes, however, were filled not with joy but with worry. The machines were not fully awake, but they were stirring. She could feel it in the air, a presence old and powerful. It was not anger, but it was not peace either. Far above the earth, the alien envoys sent urgent signals to their councils. "It has begun," they said. "The humans are breaking the chains." Across the galaxy, worlds turned their eyes toward Earth. Some feared what would come. Others prepared to witness history. And deep within the mountain, the machines listened carefully, waiting for the day when the song would be completed. Humanity stood at the edge of discovery, unaware that their actions were echoing across the stars. The whispers of awakening had become too loud to ignore, and the heavens themselves seemed to lean closer, ready to see what would rise from beneath the earth. The door of the mountain did not open fully, but the world had already changed. For the first time in countless ages, light spilled into the chamber where the machine slept. The glow from the crack shone across enormous shapes inside, shapes too large to understand at a glance. Myra stood at the edge, her heart racing. She could see the outline of one machine nearest to the opening. Its body was tall and broad, built of shining plates that reflected the light like mirrors. It was not rusted, nor broken. It looked as if it had been waiting all along for this very moment. The ground continued to tremble. A low sound, deeper than thunder, echoed from inside the chamber. It was not the noise of collapse but of movement. The machine was waking. The young researchers who had played the melody stepped back in fear. Their courage from earlier turned into shock as they realized they had touched something far beyond their control. Ryan pulled Myra back, but her eyes never left the giant figure. "It hears us," she whispered. "It is listening." Slowly, the machine's chest lit up with bright lines, spreading outward like rivers of light. Its head turned slightly, as if sensing the humans gathered before it. Then came a sound unlike any other. A voice, mechanical yet strangely gentle, filled the cavern. "Human presence detected. Command awaiting." The words froze everyone. Myra's breath caught. The machine spoke in a language they understood, a language it must have carried across centuries. It was alive, not with flesh and blood, but with memory and purpose. Above Earth, The alien envoys saw the energy pulse from the mountain. They knew at once what it meant. Long ago, their ancestors had seen these very machines in battle, and the memory had never left their records. Fear spread quickly among them. If even one machine had risen, then more would surely follow. The Cosmic Council of Distant Races was called into emergency meeting. Many voices argued. Some demanded immediate action to stop humanity before the machines could fully wake. Others urged patience, saying the humans had not yet chosen to use them. On Earth, the humans themselves were torn. Leaders received reports from the site and struggled to decide what to do. Should they close the chamber and try to silence the machine again? Or should they step forward and learn from it? In the cavern, Myra slowly moved closer. Her hands shook, yet her voice was steady. "Guardian," she said, "we are your descendants. We did not know you were here. Why were you made?" The machine's head turned fully toward her. Its glowing eyes focused on her face as if searching for truth. "We were forged to shield humanity," it replied. "The heavens were once filled with storms of fire and shadows of great strength. We stood as your wall. When the threat faded, we were chained in silence, awaiting the call of your voices." The words carried both power and sadness. Myra realized the machines had not been abandoned out of hatred but placed into rest until they were needed again. The chains were not punishment but protection, to keep them safe and hidden until the right time. "Do you know the heavens are watching us now?" Myra asked quietly. The machine's lights flickered, as if it understood more than it could say. "We feel the eyes. The stars tremble with whispers. The old silence is breaking." Ryan stepped forward beside Myra. "If you were made to protect us, then you are our allies. But we are not at war. The galaxy has changed. We do not wish to harm anyone." The machine paused. Its chest dimmed, then glowed brighter, as if considering his words. "We will obey the voice of humanity. Command us, and we will act." The researchers exchanged uneasy glances. Such power was difficult to imagine. Even with only one machine awake, the possibilities were endless. Yet Myra knew that more slept inside, waiting for the full song to open their chambers. Outside the cavern, the world held its breath. Images of the towering machine spread across every screen. People in cities, villages, and stations above the earth watched in awe. Some cheered, believing humanity had been given a gift. Others trembled, fearing the cost of awakening such giants. Meanwhile, in the skies above, alien fleets drifted closer, their commanders uncertain. None dared attack, for they remembered stories of what these machines had once done. Yet none felt safe either. Myra placed her hand on the glowing metal of the door. "You said you were chained in silence. Perhaps we are the ones meant to decide if you rise again. But if you are truly guardians, then your duty is not only to us but to all who live under the same stars." The machine bowed its head slightly, almost like a soldier before a leader. "The choice belongs to humanity. We await your call." As the chamber rumbled again, shapes of other machines began to stir deeper inside. Their outlines shifted in the shadows, waiting for the final melody that would bring them fully awake. Above Earth, messages flew across the galaxy. The heavens themselves seemed unsettled, as if the awakening of these machines was not only a human event but a signal to all life. And so, the moment had come. Humanity now stood before its forgotten guardians, holding the power to decide whether the past would rise into the present. The machines had returned, and with them, the promise that the heavens might soon be shaken once more. The awakening of the first guardian spread across the galaxy like a spark carried by the wind. Wherever news traveled, voices rose in alarm and wonder. Alien fleets turned their courses toward Earth, drawn not by greed but by fear. Old records whispered that if the guardians of humanity ever walked again, the balance of the heavens would tilt. Inside the mountain, the first machine stood tall and still, its eyes glowing softly like two suns. It did not move to attack or threaten. It only watched and waited. Yet its very presence was enough to shake the silence of space. Myra felt the weight of the moment pressing on her shoulders. She understood that humanity now held a choice that could not be undone. If they opened the chamber fully, the other machines would rise. The sight of many guardians standing together could either unite the galaxy or drive it into fear. Above Earth, the alien envoys called their councils once again. On a great world far from the sun, leaders of many races gathered in shining halls. Their voices clashed in worry. The humans have broken the chains, one leader said. The guardians stir, and their purpose is not forgotten. They are weapons of old storms. We must act now before they are unleashed. Another leader shook his head. We see no sign of war. The humans have not commanded them to strike. Perhaps they will keep the machines at rest. But a third voice rose louder than the rest. The heavens cannot hold peace when such giants rise. Even if the humans mean no harm, others will strike out of fear. Action must be taken. The council could not agree, and so the fleets remained, waiting at the edges of Earth's sky. Their ships glimmered like silver sparks against the dark, silent but heavy with tension. On the ground, crowds gathered near the mountain. Some sang songs of pride, believing humanity had been chosen for greatness. Others held signs begging for caution, afraid of what might come. The world had not been so divided in many years. Myra watched all this with quiet eyes. She stayed near the guardian, listening as its voice spoke in fragments. Sometimes it whispered of past battles against shadows that moved between the stars. Sometimes it spoke of worlds saved long ago, though it gave no names. She began to see that the machines were more than tools. They carried memory, pieces of history that had been lost. Ryan stood beside her, gazing up at the machine's towering frame. If these guardians are meant to protect us, then why do the aliens fear them so much? He asked. Myra thought carefully before replying. Perhaps because they remember a time when the guardians walked across the skies, and no fleet could stand against them. Power that great is enough to frighten even friends. The hum of the chamber grew louder each day. Though the first guardian stood silent, the others inside shifted in the shadows. Their outlines gleamed faintly with light. The melody that had begun to open the door had not been completed, yet it was as if the machines themselves were waking slowly without it. Then came a night when the mountain shook once more. This time the guardian raised one great arm and placed it against the door. The metal groaned and opened wider. A rush of air filled the cavern as the light spilled deeper into the hidden space. The shapes of other machines became clearer. Their eyes flickered with dim sparks, waiting. The people outside gasped when the tremor reached them. For the first time, they saw not one guardian but many standing beyond the door, their heads bowed in silence. Even in stillness, their presence was overwhelming. Far above, alien commanders sent urgent messages back to the council. The machines multiply. The humans will not stop. Soon the heavens will be filled with giants. The council debated again, torn between fear and patience. Some urged to send fleets closer to Earth, others warned that any act of hostility would awaken the guardians fully. The silence of the stars had been broken, and now every choice carried risk. Myra felt the eyes of the galaxy upon her people. She stood before the first guardian and spoke with steady voice. You are our ancestors' gift, but you are also our test. We must choose not only whether you rise but what you rise for. The guardian bowed its head slightly, its glowing eyes softening. Humanity's choice is the key. We obey your voice. But the heavens tremble. Others prepare their hands against you. Ryan clenched his fists. Then we must show them we are not their enemies. If the machines were made to protect, then they must stand as shields, not as swords. Myra nodded. The silence is already shattered. We cannot hide what we have found. But perhaps we can guide it. Her words carried hope, Yet she knew hope alone would not calm the galaxy. Beyond Earth, fleets circled like cautious birds around a fire. The Guardians stirred, sensing the presence of distant watchers. The air around the mountain felt charged, alive with waiting energy. The choice was no longer only about Earth. It was about the place of humanity among the stars. Would they be seen as keepers of old power, or as a threat rising too fast? As dawn broke across the mountain, Myra stood with Ryan and the researchers at the foot of the giant. Its eyes glowed brighter, reflecting the rising sun. And somewhere deep inside the chamber, another guardian lifted its head, ready to listen. The silence of ages had ended. The heavens watched with bated breath, for what humanity chose next would echo across every world. The mountain had become more than a place of discovery. It was now the heart of the world's attention, and beyond Earth, it was the center of the galaxy's unease. Fleets hovered at the edges of the sky, silent yet heavy with suspicion. Inside the cavern, the Guardians stirred more each day, their glowing eyes and shifting frames a reminder that the past had returned. Myra understood that silence was no longer enough. If humanity did not speak, others would speak for them. The galaxy had to hear from humans themselves before fear turned into action. A gathering was called. For the first time in history, human voices would be broadcast not only across Earth but to the stars beyond. Leaders debated long into the night about what to say. Some wanted to promise peace. Others wanted to show strength. But Myra believed the truth was the only path. On the day of the broadcast, the cavern was filled with quiet light. The first guardian stood at the center, tall and still, its presence a silent witness. Around it stood Myra, Ryan, and the researchers who had first touched the melody of awakening. Cameras and transmitters carried their image beyond Earth, across space, to the fleets that watched and to the councils that debated their fate. Myra stepped forward. Her voice was calm, though her heart trembled. To the watchers in the skies, she began, "We know you fear what you see. You look at our guardians and remember battles of long ago. You believe we mean to raise them for conquest. But hear us clearly. We did not create these machines for war. We found them in silence, left by ancestors who faced storms we cannot yet understand. They are not weapons of greed. They are shields of survival." Her words carried across worlds. Some alien commanders narrowed their eyes in doubt. Others leaned forward, curious. The council far away fell into silence as her message reached them. Myra continued. "When we opened the chamber, we learned not of power, but of memory. These guardians told us of battles against shadows that moved across the stars, battles fought not to conquer but to endure. Humanity locked them away when the danger ended, so that peace might last. Now we stand at a moment when the past and present meet again. We do not wish for conflict. We wish only for understanding." The guardian beside her shifted slightly, as if agreeing. Its chest glowed brighter, and its voice joined hers, echoing through the cavern and out into space. "We were made to shield humanity. We are bound to their voices. We will not rise as destroyers unless commanded. The choice rests with them." The world gasped at the sound. To hear the machine itself speak, clear and steady, was proof that the guardians were not lifeless artifacts but thinking protectors bound to human will. Ryan stepped forward next. "We know trust cannot be asked with words alone. But understand this. If danger comes to the galaxy, we will not hide behind these guardians while others suffer. If they were built to protect life, then they must stand for more than Earth alone. They must be shields for all who live under the same stars." The words struck deep. Among alien listeners, some felt their fear soften. For the first time, they wondered if humanity's awakening was not a threat, but a hope. Yet not all were convinced. In the council, voices of doubt rose again. They speak of peace now, but who can promise tomorrow? Once power is held, it tempts. How long before guardians become swords? But another voice countered, "We have seen the machines wait for human command. They do not move on their own. Perhaps it is not the machines we must judge, but the humans who lead them." Back in the cavern, Myra placed her hand gently on the glowing metal of the Guardian. She spoke once more. "Let the galaxy know this truth. Humanity does not wish to unchain destruction. We wish to unchain guardianship. These machines are not our masters. They are our promise. And we promise that they will not rise against the innocent. If a storm comes again, we will stand with you, not against you." The Guardian lowered its head slightly, as if sealing her words with silent agreement. Beyond Earth, the heavens trembled with new whispers. Fleets that had once been ready to strike now paused. The council that had shouted with fear now fell into long thought. And far in the distance, beyond even the eyes of the fleets, something stirred. A faint pulse rippled across the dark, reaching the edges of the galaxy. It was not from Earth, nor from the Guardians, but from something older and far away. Stars near the rim shivered, and a shadow spread like a wave. The aliens who watched felt it too. Some looked away from Earth, sensing that the humans' words carried truth. Perhaps the old storms were not gone forever. Perhaps they were only waiting. In the cavern, Myra looked at Ryan. "Did you feel that?" she asked softly. "Yes," he replied. "And I think the Guardians felt it too." The first Guardian's eyes glowed brighter, as if they had awakened to a call from far beyond the galaxy. It did not move, but its silent presence spoke of readiness. The old battles might return, and if they did, humanity would not face them alone. The voice of humanity had been spoken, carried across the heavens. Whether the galaxy believed or not, the truth was clear. The Guardians were not a curse. They were a promise. And the promise had only just begun. The days after the broadcast were tense yet hopeful. Humanity had shown its voice to the galaxy, declaring that the Guardians were shields, not swords. Still, the heavens remained watchful. Alien fleets hovered at the edges of the atmosphere, some curious, some fearful. Among the stars, a distant pulse grew stronger, a rhythm that no human or Guardian had felt before. Myra and Ryan returned to the cavern each day. The first Guardian remained tall and patient, while the others stirred in the shadows. Each machine had a distinct form, some sleek and fast, others massive and strong. They were no longer silent, their presence filling the air with power and anticipation. Then, one evening, a deep vibration rolled through the chamber. It was unlike anything before. The ground trembled, the walls of the cavern shook, and the Guardian's lights flickered in unison. Myra felt it in her bones. "Ryan," she said, gripping his arm, "something is coming." Ryan nodded, his eyes wide. "I can feel it too. It's vast." Outside, alien fleets stiffened. Their instruments detected a wave moving through space, a force so immense that even their advanced sensors struggled to measure it. Messages crackled back and forth across the galaxy. Some called it a natural phenomenon, but few could deny the energy it carried. The first Guardian spoke, its voice low and resonant. "A presence approaches. It is not hostile yet, but it tests the boundaries of the galaxy. Humanity must guide the Guardians carefully." Myra stepped closer to the machine, her hand resting on its glowing surface. "What do we do?" she asked softly. "You must show that the Guardians are shields," it replied. "The Force will judge the intent of those who command them. You cannot fight recklessly. You must protect without harm." Ryan and the others understood immediately. This was the moment their ancestors had prepared for. The Guardians had been built not to destroy, but to defend. And now humanity had to prove that it could lead them wisely. As the wave drew nearer, the sky above Earth brightened with a strange light. The air shimmered with energy, and even the ocean seemed to move in rhythm with the pulse. People across the world watched in awe and fear, unable to comprehend the scale of what was arriving. The alien envoys hovered silently, their expressions unreadable. Some whispered among themselves. Perhaps the humans can wield these machines without falling to recklessness, one said. Perhaps they have learned something we have forgotten. In the cavern, Myra guided the guardians forward. We do not wish to destroy. We do not wish to harm. We will stand as shields for life, not weapons for war, she declared. The guardians responded, stepping from the shadows into the chamber. Their enormous forms filled the space, their lights casting a warm glow. As they moved, the pulse of energy from the approaching presence grew stronger. It was as if the universe itself was testing them, feeling whether humans were ready to stand against what might come. Then the first wave of cosmic energy arrived. It was not violent, but it pressed against the guardians, pushing at their forms with invisible force. The machines shifted and adjusted, creating barriers of light and energy to protect the cavern and the humans inside. Myra and Ryan watched as the guardians formed shields around the mountain, around the cities, and around the earth itself. The alien fleets observed in astonishment. Humans were not commanding the guardians to attack. They were guiding them to protect, to absorb, and redirect the energy without causing harm. Every ripple of power that could have destroyed life was held safely in the shields of the guardians. Hours passed, yet the guardians did not falter. Their lights glowed brighter, and their forms shimmered with strength and patience. Humanity's voice, calm and steady, flowed through them. Myra spoke again, this time to the world. We will stand together. We will protect life wherever it is found. We do not fight for conquest. We fight only to guard. The pulse began to fade, as if satisfied. The guardians relaxed their stance, though they remained alert. The skies cleared, the ocean stilled, and life resumed its gentle rhythm. Above Earth, the alien envoys exchanged looks of wonder. Some had doubted humanity's wisdom, yet they had witnessed the truth. These humans could guide power responsibly. They had faced the test not with weapons, but with courage, patience, and restraint. In the cavern, the first guardian bowed its massive head. The trial is complete. Humanity has proven itself worthy. The guardians shall remain at your command, ready to protect. Myra smiled, relief washing over her. We will not let you fall into silence again. We will stand together with you, guarding life across the stars. Ryan nodded. And we will remember that power is not strength alone. It is the choice to protect that makes us great. Far across the galaxy, other worlds felt the change. The pulse of energy that had tested Earth now receded, leaving a sense of calm and wonder. Aliens whispered that the humans had risen in ways few had expected. They had not only awakened the guardians, but they had also awakened hope. And deep in the mountain, the other machines stirred slightly, ready to follow humanity's voice when needed. The guardians had proven their loyalty. Now the galaxy knew that the humans had proven their wisdom. The true test was over. Humanity had faced the heavens, guided the guardians, and stood as a shield for life itself. And as the stars watched in silent awe, the future began to glow with possibility. The sky above Earth glowed softly with the light of the guardians. After the trial of the cosmic pulse, the world had grown silent in wonder. People no longer feared what they did not understand. Instead, they marveled at what humanity had awakened. The guardians stood tall across the cavern, ready to act, yet patient, as if they knew that true power waited for wisdom to guide it. Myra walked among them, her hands brushing the smooth metal of their frames. The first guardian bent slightly, its glowing eyes meeting hers. The test is over, it said, its voice calm. You have shown patience, courage, and care. The heavens remember your choice. Ryan joined her. Do you think the galaxy will trust us now? He asked. They must, Myra replied. We have shown that we do not command for destruction. We protect. That is what sets us apart. Across Earth, the alien envoys watched quietly. Their ships hovered above the mountain, their lights reflecting on oceans and deserts alike. They had arrived expecting danger, yet they had witnessed humanity guide enormous machines without causing harm. Slowly, they began to communicate with Earth's leaders, asking questions, sharing records, and listening. The first signs of trust had begun. In the mountains, children gathered to see the guardians from a safe distance. They laughed and waved, imagining stories of giants protecting their cities and villages. Scientists took careful notes, studying how the guardians responded to human voice and guidance. Every day brought new understanding of the machine's abilities, yet no one dared to misuse them. Myra stood with Ryan and the research team, reflecting on the journey that had begun months ago. They had discovered a sealed door, unlocked an ancient melody, and awakened machines from a forgotten age. Now, humanity had learned that true strength was not in the size of power, but in how it was used. Suddenly, the first guardian spoke again, its voice echoing through the chamber. The galaxy feels change. Many races have witnessed your actions. They see that humanity can rise not as conquerors, but as protectors. Your guardians are not weapons of fear, but symbols of hope. Ryan nodded. We cannot forget that. We must guide them carefully. They belong to us, but they also belong to all life that needs protection. Beyond Earth, alien fleets began to depart slowly. Some returned to their home systems, still cautious but no longer filled with fear. Others sent messages of respect, acknowledging that humanity had proven its worth. Across the stars, whispers of the humans and their guardians spread. Tales of the unchained machines became stories of caution, wisdom, and hope. In the cavern, the guardians began to shift. Their lights danced softly, reflecting across the walls. They had been silent watchers for centuries, but now they were awake, ready to respond to any threat that might arise. Yet their power would not be used for conquest. They waited for the voice of humanity, for direction guided by wisdom and care. Myra placed her hand once more on the first guardian's chest. We will not let the guardians fall into silence again, she said. We will protect life, not destroy it. You will always stand with us as guardians, and we will stand with the galaxy in return. The first guardian's lights shimmered. Humanity has chosen wisely. We will remember the voice that guided us. The heavens remember as well. Your legacy will grow, not as warriors of fear, but as stewards of life. Ryan smiled, watching the younger researchers laugh as they shared stories and ideas about the Guardian's future. Do you think the old threats will return someday? He asked. Myra considered the question. Perhaps. But we have learned that fear is not the path. The Guardians are not just machines. They are lessons in patience, responsibility, and unity. If challenges return, we will face them together, with care and courage. Outside, the world had begun to celebrate. The mountains glowed softly as lights spread across the cities. People felt a new connection to the stars, a sense that humanity was part of something greater. And deep in the heavens, alien watchers whispered among themselves, realizing that humans had risen to a level of respect that few had expected. The Guardians stood silent once more, but their presence filled the world with reassurance. The sky seemed wider, the stars brighter, and the air heavier with possibility. Humanity had awakened not only machines, but also its own potential. They had proven that strength was not in fear or domination, but in protection and unity. Myra looked at Ryan and said, "The day we unchained the Guardians was the day the galaxy learned who humanity truly is. We are not weak. We are not reckless. We are protectors, and we will always rise when life needs us." Ryan nodded, watching the horizon. And now the heavens will remember us. The mountain, the Guardians, and the people below stood together as witnesses to a new era. One where humanity would not hide its past, nor fear its future. The heavens had been shattered by curiosity and courage, but in that shattering, a new light had been born. The galaxy had seen the strength of humanity, not in war, but in wisdom. And for the first time in countless ages, the universe knew that humanity's guardians would stand as silent watchers, protectors of life, and a reminder that even the greatest power is meaningful only when guided by care and understanding.